Irashaimase! Hello and welcome to Fitaurus Kitchen. I'm your host, Chef Fitaurus. It's time once again for Shoot 'em Up Saturday. And on the menu for this Saturday, we have Cowboy Bebop, a rail shooter for the PlayStation based on the anime of the same name. What kind of taste will it have? Let's get cooking and find out. Starting the game, we're treated to a couple cutscenes that basically set the setting of the game itself. It's helpful to be familiar with the anime so you know the characters, the setting, etc., etc., but it's not necessary, so that being the case, we'll also skip over the cutscenes as well. As we get to the gameplay itself, we're piloting Spike Spiegel's Swordfish 2 Starfighter. We have a couple weapons at our disposal. There's our main cannon, which is primarily what we'll be using. It's quite effective. And there's also a special weapon, the Ruby Laser, that we can also use. It is a tad awkward to actually bring that into play though, as you have to hold down the square button to engage it, which takes a moment, and then press the fire button, which is X, to use it as well. It is possible to purchase additional special weapons between stages, and you would use the other face buttons on the PlayStation controller to switch between those. So in addition to the special weapons and the firing, we also have the ability to rotate our ship. So being a rail shooter, we are on a fixed path, but there are occasional forks in that path. We just encountered one there. We could have gone left or right, and we took the left path. So, as I was mentioning, we have the ability to rotate our ship with the L and R buttons. It's even possible to do a Star Fox style barrel roll, which is actually an aileron roll. The game itself does draw a lot from the Star Fox franchise. Star Fox 64 came out a year before this title did, and you can see the inspiration in both the way the stage is set up as well as the character interactions with Spike Spiegel, as we have the other crew members of the Bebop appearing in the bottom right, throwing out bits of advice, quips, and the story information to Spike, our main character. We're not wasting ammo, don't worry. So as we completely destroy waves of enemies, we get a formation break bonus appear in our message screen in the top right. To be honest, I'm not sure if that plays into our stage evaluation or not, but as we complete the stage, we're given an evaluation, and based off of that evaluation, we are given points that can be used to purchase upgrades for the Swordfish. So a little bit about the game itself. This title came out in May of 1998, which is only a month after the anime began its run. The anime started airing in April of 88. Or not 88, 98. My bad. So Bandai must have had faith the title would be popular enough to produce licensed games based off of the property. Though the choice of doing a rail shooter seems odd, as while there are some dogfight scenes throughout the course of the anime, it's not really the focus. Alright, here we are at our first boss. In Star Fox 64 style, we enter something akin to free range mode, where we can control ourselves in a full 360 environment, moving around the whole field. The enemy itself is just a fixed turret emplacement. We already destroyed one stage of the turret, and we just need to position ourselves to make another pass. Using the ruby laser, this boss is very easy to take down. There are also little turrets around the base that are firing at us as well, but they're not too big of a problem. So let's dive in. Ruby laser that missile launcher, and bam! Boss defeated. Hit rank B, destroy rank D. Not so great, really. Clear bonus 2,000. So that gives us 2,800 points to use between stages. Apparently we got other points as well. So between stages you can upgrade the Swordfish 2 based off of the points you have. We can upgrade 3 various parts: our main cannon, the ruby laser, or additional hard points. Additional hard points, we can get missiles or E-bolts to use. The ruby laser, of course, just makes the ruby laser that much more powerful, and we can upgrade our main cannon with armor-piercing ammo or explosive ammo. Since the armor-piercing ammo is all we can really afford, we're going to go with that. But even if I had enough points to upgrade or get missiles, I would still pick the ammo, as our main cannon is, well, what we're using in almost all situations. It makes the most sense to power that up first. More cutscenes, and here we are at the beginning of Scene 2, Desert City. So a little bit about the story itself. So, as you may know, Spike and the crew of the Bebop are bounty hunters in a futuristic society where humanity has settled all, well, or most of the planets of the solar system. But in this particular episode, shall we say, they're not really hunting bounties, but they were traveling between planets and got pulled out of the warp by a mysterious force, and they don't know where they are. So they're trying to figure out exactly where they are in the solar system, as well as deal with these enemies that just attack them out of nowhere. So here we see some use of the mobility of the swordfish, being able to dive between buildings, although it's actually possible in this section to die quite easily by crashing through the buildings themselves. We occasionally also see Spike's partner, Jet Black, flying around in his fighter, the Hammerhead. That's a fun little feature that you have other characters flying around, both Jet in the Hammerhead and Faye in her Red Tail. But aside from just being there, they don't really do much. This stage I have some issue with, as I find it hard to follow exactly where we're going next, and I often find myself crashing into buildings because of that. The stage also feels like it just overstays its welcome just a little bit. We have this golden ship flying above us. It reminds me vaguely of the ships you see in Panzer Dragoon, but doesn't really seem to do a whole lot. Just sits there, absorbs bullets. I've never been able to destroy it, so I'm not sure why I'm shooting at it. So on to my thoughts about the Cowboy Bebop title. Well, as far as rail shooters go, it's serviceable. plus flavors for the title, definitely the license. If you're a fan of Cowboy Bebop and the characters, then there's definitely some to like here, as you do have a little bit of interaction with the characters. Less so with Spike, though, as he's silent between the cutscenes that bracket the stages themselves. But at least you do get the radio chatter from the other characters. There's also the ability to upgrade your ship between the stages. More games, I think, would benefit from that type of an upgrade system, and it's neat to be able to power yourself up in that way. That said, the game itself suffers from some of the technical limitations on the PlayStation. As you can see, the pop-up is horrendous, and here we have sand with a not so great screen. Our boss of stage 2. As far as other problems I feel with it, it's kind of just a bland title, truth be told. The stages feel overly long for what they're trying to accomplish. And for a rail shooter, there's just not enough excitement throughout the course of the stage. You're just flying on a path, shooting enemies, you encounter a boss, blow up the boss, rinse and repeat. We did get a hit rank and destroy rank on that stage, so that's awesome. So with that being the case, let's upgrade some E-bolts, shall we? So that's my ultimate opinion. While it's fun to see licensed titles, generally they're just not good, and I can't really say that this one was any different. It obviously, based off of the amount of time, or rather not the amount of time, but rather the timing of release, they were trying to develop a licensed title to quickly release with the anime itself. And ultimately we get something that is an okay game, but by no means great. Also, just as a note, this was one that never did see release outside of Japan. So it might be a little more difficult to track down just based off of the limited region it was released in, as well as its license. Well, that'll just about wrap it up for this week's episode of Shoot 'em Up Saturday. As always, I want to thank you so much for coming out and joining me. And I look forward to seeing you again next week.